Hello everyone, it's your old mucker Paul Salt here, in his muck. This week Paul Goodman has had tradies in working on his roof, and although we recorded on a Saturday morning, they still turned up to do noisy work right above his podcasting head. Consequently, please forgive any knocks or bangs you may hear during the recording, and join us in extending our appreciation to the working men of Australia. Come rain or shine, they're up in your loft making all sorts of noise first thing in the morning. Thank you, Australian work ethic, for protecting us against the dangers of audio clarity and mental cohesion. Hi, welcome to One Good Thing, a podcast that tries to think of nice things to say about really hateful films sometimes. I don't know why. Can't remember. Something about being positive?
Job in it.
Yeah, coming to things with an open mind. It's a good thought, right?
We do it for the bitches.
That's why I do it. I'm Paul Salt.
I'm done creatively. Fuck, that's it, everyone. Fucking out of here.
The novel, you just tore it into shreds. I don't want to contribute to this world anymore.
The one I'm working on at the moment, I hate the words. They're all back in me now. All that evil.
I just can't have it existing in the same world as Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler, I have regularly in my notes gone to write Eddie Murphy and said Adam Sandler instead. Do you know that? It happened like three times.
We've both thought a lot about Adam Sandler in the last few days, Paul. There's no shame in it. We're not the only ones. Eddie and Charles Murphy also.
Oh, Christ. Do you think there's just a chance that we've been overlooking the real evil here all this time?
I don't think that you have to limit yourself to one evil is the thing.
There's no great mastermind.
God gave us two hands for a reason.
He cast down many devils, and they rise about us. All right. Today we shall be discussing... Look, are you sure about this, mate? You sure you want to do this one? Is it that important to us and our integrity? I can still remember stuff about Sound of Thunder. We could do that again.
Oh, yeah, no, that was all right.
Ben Kingsley, right? All right, fine. Today it's Norbit. Norbit...
I didn't say I was sure.
Meet a nice guy.
Norbit!
Norbit. With a huge problem.
Don't adjust my seat! Look! That's scientifically proved that you was adjusting my seat!
That's not science.
It is, it's just medical!
I'm just taking... What am I gonna do?
Eddie Murphy.
Run for your life!
Eddie Murphy.
A horror show.
And Eddie Murphy.
Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me?
Norbit is a 2007 crime movie about an innocent and slightly simple man named Norbit being tricked into defrauding a childhood friend out of the rights to the orphanage they both grew up in. There's some misunderstandings, some twists and turns, but ultimately it all comes up good. Also, Norbit has a wife.
Come here. Well, Miss Fuchsia, you thinking about creeping, ain't we? We're just friends.
What I tell you about having friends? Go over there and get me another wine cooler. It's hot as hell out here. Don't you see I'm sweltering?
Fuchsia, you can't drink wine.
Oh, why the hell not?
You're a child.
Oh, that was... I had gas. I still got it. There's your child. Now go get me something to drink.
Well, he also has a father figure, doesn't he?
He does! He has an elderly Chinese father figure.
Ling, come on, left another one. You will not eat another baby.
Clap. Another black one. Can't give these away. Ugly black one, too. Be here long time. Nobody ever come and say, give me the ugly black one.
And Eddie Murphy plays Norbit, the wife, and the elderly Chinese man. Which, when you consider intersectionality, it's still pretty fucked up.
Well, we all know that I never consider intersectionality. He's like a modern-day Mickey Rooney, isn't he? It's great.
He sure is. He's 2007's answer to a question nobody even knew they wanted to ask, but they did. God, he also plays Tandy Newton in the film, because seriously, what else explains her fucking being here? She has an alibi. She has a small boy who comes around telling everyone where she was. I miss Tandy Newton's alibi. Murphy also wrote the film with his brother Charlie after they were inspired by a hilarious online video of a woman beating up her husband. And the colour fucking purple, apparently.
What?
Yeah.
What?
They said,
I didn't read
you
it.
see the colour purple? What if you gender reversed it and then made it really bad?
Imagine a woman beating up a man. That never happens.
Never happen. Oh, God.
Brilliant.
And then they got it directed by the guy who did Good Burger.
Why?
Because he was free, Paul. He was perennially free.
Eddie Murphy going through his mental Filofax.
Who's got fucking nothing going on? I know.
Richard Pryor? Well, it's harder than it sounds. All right.
Is the guy who directed Good Burger freer than Richard Pryor is dead? Yes, I think he is, so we'll hire him. Now look, we have some interesting two-men, like Cuba Gooding Jr., Terry Crews, and Kristen Schaal.
Yeah.
But no
Shame.
three-men in a traditional sense. Now, you did want Eddie Murphy to be a three-man just based on this.
I have picketed hard for this.
Now look, it is certainly true that Murphy has provided us with 2.5 loathsome performances in one film. But what is a three-man, Paul? Is a three-man not someone who earns that title over a sustained period of awfulness? Jackie Sandler has been in 6 awful films, Paul, over a 15-year period. Is it really right that Eddie Murphy should achieve half of her accomplishment for just the one garbage movie?
I will draw your attention, Exhibit A, to Jack and Jill.
Did we actually
And I hate that we rained down on Adam Sandler for that. I'd be very happy. I will compromise here. How about this? If we do 2 more terrible Eddie Murphy films and we know they're there.
Yeah. No, they're there.
We don't have to make him a 4-man or a 5-man. He could be a 3-man for 3 more films, but I think symbolically we need this, Paul. I think the people at home need this.
Fine.
They need to know that somebody can't just come in and Mickey Rooney their way to a Razzie and think that it's going to sit well with the Pool Boys.
He didn't Mickey Rooney his way to a Razzie. He Mickey Rooneyed his way to 3 separate Razzies for each of the 3 characters.
Oh my God, that's even better.
Worst main actor for Norbit, then worst supporting actor, best worst supporting actor for the fucking Chinese guy, and then worst actress for what's her name? Rasputia, yeah. So he won 3 of the fucking things. Great. What a bunch of shit.
You're a 3-man, mate.
Fine, be a 3-man.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Feel the shit, mate.
Congratulations. Yay. Jackie Sandler, in order to adjust for inflation, you're now a 9-man. Sorry about that. It had to happen. Norbit was received by critics like a 300-pound woman diving onto their faces. With hilarity, apparently. It was particularly poorly reviewed in the context of Eddie Murphy's recent Oscar-nominated performance in Dreamgirls, and some even claim that the film cost him his Oscar. For example, writing for the LA Times, Greg Baxton and Robert W. Wykos report that an unidentified Oscar voter told them, "Every time I pass that billboard, it makes me sick. I think his performance in Dreamgirls is so fabulous, and he deserves to win the Academy Award. But Murphy's latest comedy offering doesn't help."
Because I'm a fucking hack. And I don't understand how the Oscars works.
How far could you take that? What if? Who just won best, Oh, okay, well, this isn't very helpful, is it? Who just won the best actor Oscar? Oh, it was Gary Oldman. Well, what if he appeared in a greatly reductive and offensive movie in which he appeared in a fat suit?
Can't tell you. Can't think of an answer for that.
What if Daniel Day-Lewis, in the same year he did There Will Be Blood, also appeared as Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star? Would it have cost him that Oscar? Or would he have gotten double Oscar?
That's one of the biggest mysteries of our time, mate. I don't think I could answer that. I genuinely don't know what would happen if Daniel Day-Lewis was in Bucky Larson 2.
But I just imagine him being Bucky Larson, but putting in the performance from Phantom Thread. My mother says I look like Brad Pitt.
I'm on missionary on top of cowboy with a spinning bronco.
I'm here to be the greatest porn star to ever arrive in this county. Anna Smith found a slightly different tack to come from, saying, even if you go back decades, body fascism has rarely been so brazen, or so unfunny. Horrifying. So it's spiritually bad. Not just like movie bad. Little tidbit for you here. The film was released during Black History Month. Thanks, Eddie Murphy.
Oh, man. Bro.
What a treat.
Bro. Look, Eddie Griffin knew it was Black History Month.
Now, I am reticent to enter the depraved minds of the average cinema goer to find out their opinions regarding Norbit.
Don't, Paul.
Well, I haven't, so I've got a bunch of reviews from kids. These are all from children. Softball Chicky, age 12, said this should be called Ignorbit.
Oh, my God. What
Give that kid a fucking star.
Give her a fucking podcast.
We're waiting for you, Softball Chicky. Do you like Eddie Murphy? Well, even if you do, you won't like this movie. This should only be seen by perverted teenage boys who get their humour from sex jokes, sexism, physical gags, etc. Not very funny, and save for a few fast jokes, this was quite a waste of money. Very spending conscious as softball chickie.
She sounds like a bit of a pretentious twat, that little girl.
Mark Kermode's kid. Well, let's go for someone a bit more Peter Traversy, shall we?
A bit more of the people.
A bit more dangerous. We've got Nadia Cloud, aged 14, who says, I thought Norbit was an okay movie. There was one scene that cracked me up, don't get me wrong. Remember that scene? However, most of the film is unfunny and has a terrible message to it. Norbit ditches his wife for another girl when his wife didn't actually do anything.
Ooh.
It also puts some bad stereotypes to fat people.
Ooh.
Now, Miss Cloud. 14-year-old little girl. Let's have a discussion here about where you've gone wrong.
Women can't abuse men.
Just because your wife actually just punches you in the face, not even comedically, just to end a scene, doesn't mean...
Sorry, I can't be serious. You're talking about a man punching a woman punching a man. It doesn't happen.
No.
It's never happened, and even if it does, it's not abuse. It's never abuse. It's hilarious.
No. It's a gag.
And
it's like the colour purple.
You know what they say though. You know what they say though, lads. Hey, it's not cheating when you play the wife as well.
Norbit has 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, 27% on Metacritic, and was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Makeup Effects.
Well, okay.
It lost at the 2007 Oscars, so I guess it lost to No Country for Old Men?
By a hair's breadth, I imagine.
And it takes a lot of time to make Tommy Lee Jones look that old. 24.
You see Javier Bardem's hair? Made by the same fiberglass as Eddie Murphy's fat suit.
He's actually bald. So, Paul, you turkey ass.
How you doing? Fuck this.
I can't. You've gone back into T-Rex. What was he called in, Orgasmo?
Orgasmo.
T-Rex or...
Yeah, the T-Rex or something. I don't fucking know. That was way less horrible than this piece of shit.
Well, even though that was an actual woman, look, we're gonna be pushing some boundaries with this one. What's one thing about Norbit that made you want to objectulate prematurely?
We haven't talked about Terry Crews yet, really, have we? He had a good angry face, didn't he?
Oh, his angry face. He got all cross.
Oh, whatever you want to say about him. He was angry, wasn't he? You knew he was angry.
He was very angry.
You wondered what horrible abuse he's going to inflict on Norbit next.
This is where I ask you what happens in Norbit, but I really don't care.
Well, you may not care, but...
Can we just fuck it out?
Look, sometimes an accountant has to deal with rather shady customers. Doesn't know where the money's coming from, but is paying the bills. Sometimes a binman has to pick up a Mars bar that's stuck to the back of the head of a very angry bald man. Sometimes two pool boys, for the listeners at home and for the drill cunt on my roof right now, they just have to face the Norbit, cheek to cheek. Which cheek? Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's like Norbit the film.
It's a butt joke. All right,
it's happening to me. Fucking end me.
Let me put some groundwork in, very much like the fucker in your loft, and then we can build from there.
Okay.
There's a baby thrown out of a car, and he lands at a Chinese orphanage where he is raised near a girl who he quite likes called Kate, but then she gets adopted. He goes to a regular school and meets with a very aggressive woman named Rasputia, who uses her physical strength to make him feel accepted.
Yes.
And kind of indoctrinates him to feel that she's the only one who would love him, I guess. Typical
Which is true, because
behavior.
he's got a speech impediment and he wears glasses.
True. Everyone has their path in life. And this is more or less where mine started. My name is Norbit Albert Rice. And I was an orphan. I like to think my parents loved me very much, but just didn't have the means to properly care for me.
He's got the same speech impediment that Adam Sandler had in
the
Waterboy football one. The Waterboy, that's it. He's got the exact same voice.
It's basically the exact same premise, but Waterboy's fine. It's not about the Waterboy.
With a less terrifying love interest. Tandy Newton is marginally less frightening than the chick from American History X.
Fucking hell, yes. Farouk something. Farouk? That's not the name.
Don't say her name 3 times. She will appear behind you. With the drill guy's head in her hands.
Well, at the same time as Rasputia supposedly looking after him, typical abusive behaviour, her 3 brothers, played by Terry Crews and 2 other very big men.
Jeremy Crews.
Terry Crews, Tiramisu, and
Other people who are probably footballers.
Ricky Tikki Tavi. Ricky Tikki Tavi. Yes, probably footballers.
They run a construction and intimidation business.
Yes.
Kate, the old love interest, comes back into town. She comes back because she wants to buy the orphanage, or she owns the orphanage, because everyone's trying to get the orphanage off of her, very much like Once Upon a Time in the West.
It's very much this fucking guy's masterpiece, whoever he did from Good Burger.
It's just an extraordinary study of tension on film and female agency.
Yeah, so she's coming back to buy the orphanage because fuck me, he's got a hammer now. He's decided that the 2 days they spent on this corner of the roof wasn't enough. I'm gonna...
A lot to do, Paul. Okay, everyone, welcome to Rooftop Wrestling, episode 5.
Still on Paul's flat.
He hasn't thrown us out yet. Let's see if we can get Terry into our half Nelson.
All right, well let's give it a go. Oh no. Fuck.
There he is. Right, that's the groundwork laid. Right, unleash the vicious dogs. Don't see why this is an important part of the process. Do you want to put the vicious dog guy out of business, do you? That's not what I mean...
Never mind, Terry.
Fine.
On a scale of 9 to 10, how much would he appreciate me coming out and saying, could you work on the other side of the roof for an hour?
That sounds like a killable offence.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare do that to a builder. Maybe if he was up there doing some like archiving work or something, maybe I'd dare to say something. But
noisily archiving.
Could you file this somewhere else,
A, B, C, D, E, F. F is where it goes. Next one. A, B, C, D. Everything in its place. So far, this is more entertaining than talking about Norbit.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe
this one we just don't talk about Norbit.
Tandy Newton is there to buy the orphanage because the big old racist parody of a Chinaman is currently running the orphanage. And he likes hunting whales as well, which is thrown in there. Why? Why? Yeah. There's no reason.
Yeah, because the Chinese do that apparently. I don't know. I heard about it once. One of those places.
Almost. It's Japanese, Eddie Murphy, but never mind. Back on.
Close enough, Paul.
Back onto my hilarious Chinese accent. What a racist.
Do you know what? He bonds with Kate a bit, and then they are just seen in various locations, like a swimming pool.
Well, he bonds with Kate, but it turns out that Kate's getting married to Cuba Gooding Jr.
Uh-oh.
He invites.
Oh, no.
She invites him to have lunch with them, and he's a bit of a wedding singer style Greg, isn't he, or whatever his name is? He's a bit of a Greg Goulier.
Oh, they all cheat.
Yeah.
All of these love interests. Don't worry, guys. You don't have to be complicated by having a genuinely nice person involved in a thing.
You don't have to do any mental gymnastics to figure out why Tandy Newton would go for Eddie Murphy's character in this. In any situation.
Yeah. It's perfectly all right, because once again, this perfectly nice, sweet-natured woman has been tricked into loving the wrong man.
Oh, shit.
Happens to them all.
Well,
luckily, we do have our bumbling hero who is ready to save her from her own decision.
Before she hemorrhages the last of her agency. What's happened is the Latimores, that is Rasputia, Terry Crews, and Tiramisu and Ricky Tikki Tavi, they're all in the racketeering game together. What they want to do is turn the orphanage into a titty bar.
Yes, because it's the only piece of real escape in town.
Yep, real escape. That's the one.
Yep.
It's real estate that offers real escape, guys. But yeah, so they say to Cuba Gooding Jr., they say, listen here, Cuba, this is going to get us the big bucks. It's real escape. It's Nippolopolis is what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
If you can just convince your wife, Tandy Newton, or you can marry your wife, Tandy Newton.
So that you'll inherit the land automatically. It's a good thing we run off of 19th century law in this fucking town.
So he does a proper Greg Julia.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it. It's wedding singer, basically. He says, okay, let's get married. And she goes, really? Are we rushing it? Fuck no, bitch. Come on. give me them titties, he says. And they're planning for the wedding, and watch the wedding singer. Just watch the fucking wedding singer. He doesn't want to help her with the wedding, so she enlists Norbit's help. Norbit is they don't do much, but he gets a nice pimp suit from Eddie Griffin, so that's good.
Yeah. There's a scene in a water park in which so many antics happen, and the fat woman goes down a slide too quick and smashes through a thing, and it's really funny. Yes, eventually this culminates at a church where they're going for a rehearsal, and the awful Rasputia sees the two kissing, gets all angry, destroys a few things, kills some people, I think, pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's in there.
Definitely. I mean, she tries to kill a dog at some point. Oh, do you know what? Do you know what she also says, Paul? Do you know what she says?
What?
She says, "How you doing?"
Well, like in a Joey Flirty kind of way.
Actually, it's more like if Daniel Day-Lewis was playing him, and Daniel Day-Lewis was playing somebody with a stroke.
How you doing?
How you doing now, you piece of shit?
How you fucking doing? Cut your fucking face off. Wear it. How you fucking doing? They say. It's like a character.
Yeah, it's like a trait she has. Anyway,
Yeah.
in the finale, they've got Norbit trapped in the basement. He has been forced to sort of alienate himself from Kate by saying that he never loved her in the first place. She's going to get married now. She's about to marry Cuba Gooding Jr. Norbit tries to cycle to the fucking church.
He's then chased in a car when Terry Crews finds out that he's escaped, and he tries to run him down in his 4x4.
Whilst fucking Norbit's two pimp friends distract everybody with some comedy and music.
That's a good subplot. Eddie Griffin there and Cat Williams, they were pimps. They want to be pimps again. Then Norbit finally comes in, and he's like, you can't marry Cuba Gooding Jr. He's a cock. And he's like, I'm definitely not. And he's like, I've got proof that you're a cock. Here are your ex-wives. And then he brings in his 3 ex-wives. It's like the episode of Futurama. I think Futurama got there first.
Definitely, by about
basically the same thing. One of them has 3 eyes. One of them is from another dimension. Thandie Newton finally believes Norbit because she didn't believe a fucking word he said about 3 seconds ago, literally.
Yeah, but now there are women here. Can't just make those up. Women.
They're your kind. They're your kind.
You believe your kind? Swap the scent bonding that you do. And they waft in each other's faces. And suddenly they share their memories.
They synchronize their menstrual cycles, and they all suddenly realize through the hive mind that yes, Norbit was telling the truth, and he's a good guy.
So she marries him instead.
Not before Rasputia tries to kill Norbit, but
the townsfolk.
Fucking both barrels here, sir. Mickey Rooney, his whale hunting comes back to him, just like all the Chinese do with the whales
that they have in mainland China.
He throws a harpoon up the butt of Rasputia.
Yes.
And she probably dies from internal bleeding. And everyone lives happily ever after.
Yeah, the end. Oh, I mean, her brothers go to Mexico and open up the bar anyway, which they could have done in literally any other site other than the orphanage at any point, and it would have been a hell of a lot easier. And they get all the kids, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, brilliant.
Fantastic. Well done, Eddie Murphy. Night, everyone. Paul, what is it exactly that is wrong with stereotype humour? What's wrong with it, and when is it okay? Is it ever okay? Why not? What's going on? Where am I?
For me, the only thing that I find offensive about stereotype humour is the laziness.
Yes.
There's nothing inherently wrong with poking fun at another race, as long as it's... my builder disagrees. God.
My lazy Australian builder. He's up there bashing out the tinnies.
Well, he can't see for all the corks hanging off his hat, can he?
Banging off his eyes.
There's nothing inherently wrong with stereotype humor. It's just the laziness irons out any of the subtlety that might have been in lazy stereotype humor, I think.
Yeah.
But for me, particularly in this film, it's just so boring. And when it's not boring,
it is
so infuriating.
In addition to the laziness, I do feel really uncomfortable about it sometimes. And I have a quote from an activist here, Naji Ali. And she says, Eddie Murphy's character, we feel, is offensive to African-American women, and it perpetuates those negative stereotypes that large black women are violent, unattractive, promiscuous, and buffoons.
Morning, Rasputia.
Oh, morning, Rasputia, my ass. I tell you what, you better do something about that goddamn dog. If I ain't gonna be getting terrorized by no dog on my own property. I'm sick of it. I'm gonna go out and purchase me a pellet rifle. And then I'm gonna give him something to talk about when I start popping pellets in his little bug-eyed bastard's ass.
So, the comedy of this movie is all about Rasputia and her unattractiveness. Either in terms of her largeness, scenes of her like lifting up her gut to... Somebody thinks that she's not wearing any bikini bottoms, and so she lifts up her gut to reveal that she is. And everyone's meant to go, ugh. Or she's too fat to get into her car.
Yeah.
Or by her personality, in that she's really aggressive, that she's breaking, she's the woman, but she's the really forceful one. In that way, I don't know what the impact is. I don't know if everyone's going to the cinema and coming out a worse person, but it still feels shitty. It feels like the creators are revealing themselves to be nasty people, is the reason it bothers me, I think.
I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's not saying that all African American women are like this. It's a stereotype of a very specific kind of person.
Yes, but he doesn't offer any representation to any other... I mean, there's no other large black women in the movie. The only other black woman in the film is extraordinarily slender Tandy Newton.
Well, I mean, also, not, you know, in a better film, let's say hypothetically Norbit was a better film and this was the only issue.
Right.
I don't see it's going to be any benefit pandering and then having a nice big fat black woman in there just to even things out and say, just so everyone knows, I'm not saying that this is what all women are like. It's just it's a bit ruthless and a bit heavy-handed. Well, it's fucking heavy-handed, but it's not. For me, that's not the biggest issue of the film.
It's not affectionate.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing from people is that some say, because I haven't seen any of the. There's a bit of a history here of sort of young black men playing older, large black women. You've got Medea, and you've got Tyler Perry's various efforts, and Big Mama's House.
Martin Lawrence.
And from what I hear, I think yes, is that Martin Lawrence, Big Mama's House?
Yeah, I thought that was Martin Lawrence.
Right, that's Martin Lawrence, and Tyler Perry is Medea.
Yeah, that's the one.
I've not seen any of these things, but I'm assured by people who do know about these things that those are somewhat affectionate portrayals.
Yes.
There's nothing affectionate about this, and the reason it makes me uncomfortable is because it just feels very schoolboy. Of just, wouldn't it be gross if your wife was this big? Yeah. And that's kind of literalized in as much as the two pimp characters are there to make those kinds of jokes.
You ain't got to worry about this brother buying the milk, because he just bought the whole damn cow. That's a special cow, too. That must be where buttermilk come from. Them are not dimples, them are potholes in her ass. Like an Escalade in a wedding dress.
If I was being really mean-spirited, I'd say it feels like a critique of kind of uppity women.
Yeah.
You know, just women who aren't willing to just be nice and smiles all the time. You know, women who actually have a little bit of force to them. It's like, well, let's satirize them.
Well, I mean, it more than a little bit of force, I think. This character is so unspeakably horrible that she's like a classic. Yeah. She's a classic cartoon villain, I think. And to her credit, she's genuinely unpleasant. She's really, really horrible to have to spend any screen time with. And when she's there, like smacking Norbit around, or just being unspeakably rude or horrible to people who don't deserve it, I felt really, really bad. And you know, it's not kind to anyone.
No.
Really.
Well, it's very specifically singled out a few people to make the subject of fun. I don't know quite what to make of Eddie Murphy, you know, doing his doing his R's as L's, you know, the Chinese guy impression. That's it's all just icky.
I don't know if Chinese people get offended by that. I'm not Chinese. I can't say. I'm sure some people would and some people wouldn't, but it's not even funny.
No.
I think overall it's just unbelievably heavy-handed with no real reason behind it. You're not watching any of these jokes and going, I see what he's doing here. Or like having to, you know, it's just plainly obvious that it's just taking the piss out of certain stereotypes, and it's as annoying as having a hammer beat down on your roof,
right? On your
whenever you're trying to make
head.
a salient point about a film.
Yeah, I would say that for me, it does feel a little beyond lazy. It does feel cruel, but that's a fair enough distinction. In as much as being cruel is one of the laziest ways of, you know, doing humor. It's a very basic way of just singling someone out and laughing at them. It's you know, schoolboy. So, I'd like to have a word about the women of these films, because we've done a few of films like this, Paul. This is Rainey Rodriguez, who played Paul Blart's daughter, Christina Ricci, Katie Holmes, and now Tandy.
Dad, you saved them all. They should honor you. I'm so proud of you.
Wow, Bucky, I mean, you've been here 2 days and your dreams are already coming true. I mean, that's incredible.
I love you, honey.
I'm sorry I doubted you. Come here.
They're very similar characters.
Yeah, can we maybe throw a few of the Adam Sandler love interests in as well, because they do fit the same mold.
Definitely. So what have we got? We've got chick from Mortal Kombat, chick from Modern Family, chick from American History X, chick from...
I mean, she breaks the mold a little bit because she has way more agency. If anything, she's the instigator in the relationship.
I do want to single out a couple.
Kind of does the opposite.
Like Salma Hayek has a bit more... Salma Hayek has a bit of energy to her.
Yeah.
A bit of a feistiness. Not much to do with any actual plot, but she's got some energy to her performance.
Also, are they already together in Grown Ups? So it's
true. There's no seduction period. all of these women can be unified by certain principles. They're all very nice. And in my head, when I go to imagine one, I always picture Katie Holmes because I think she sort of was more emblematic of this whole thing. Very smiley, very little will of their own, goes along with everyone else, nothing really to do, always chipper until they are hurt in some way by the main character, at which point they'll act all outraged and go off, only to be won over in the third act. And it's kind of the arc of the main character is to win them over.
Like they've got thoughts.
Yeah. And that's it for all of them. And it's just a really... I always think of Men Behaving Badly with these sorts of things because I really liked Men Behaving Badly. I thought it was a really funny show. But the women were all too often just straight women. And largely it's because it was written by a single guy, who just didn't maybe know how to write funny women. And who are they? Caroline Quirk and Leslie Ash. Yeah, Leslie Ash would do things. They'd put things into the performance to make it funny. But for the most part, it's the guys who are funny and the girls just have to sort of put up with them. And that does pervade comedy still a little bit, I think, and certainly in Norbit, where...
Oh, yeah, certainly in Norbit.
Yeah, no female performers are allowed to be funny. Even the female character who is meant to be this comedic character is played by a man, so...
Yeah. And you know the film before it's before it's even played. Yeah. What does it have to offer?
I don't know. I found the obnoxiousness relatively easy to handle in the first hour. I think it was after the church scene. It was in the church sequence. From that point on, most of the dialogue is screaming. And it becomes very hard to take.
Yes, they really ramp up her intensity, don't they?
Yes. In a way that's really not pleasant to watch.
I remember this because every single time it happened, it was like somebody pinching my bollocks. There are so many scenes that ended with somebody screaming. Again, it's just laziness through and through. It's seeped into the script writing, the scene structure, everything. It's like, Norbit reminded me of about 3 different Adam Sandler films, and I kept writing notes of this whilst I was watching it. It's got the romantic story from The Wedding Singer. It's got the good cross-dressing humor from Jack and Jill, and it's got all the unfunny sketch scenes of grown-ups too. It's just a big derivative pile of bollocks.
Hello, OG team. Now, I know as well as you do that 2 out of the 3 of the films that Paul just mentioned actually came out after Norbit, so accusing Norbit of being derivative in that sense is just inaccurate. But come on, guys. He had all those hammers and drills and such all up in his head. Give him a break. Please? It is that, but I will say this for Murphy's performance, which is that he really does throw himself into these things. You can hardly accuse him of being lazy in terms of the actual performance. I mean, in terms of, like, when he's playing the Chinese guy, the physicality he puts into it, the energy, he's moving about the place. It's hardly a sleepy Sandler performance.
No, for sure. And do you know what? There were parts of Rasputia that were quite real, and it was strange.
That had little mannerisms that you felt, oh yeah, I get it. And I will say this, for the Oscar-nominated prosthetics, they did allow him to maintain quite a bit of movement in his facial expressions. I mean, to be honest, that he's really flummoxed by the God, I keep forgetting her name. Rasputia's lips. They're very thick lips. Which again made me feel uncomfortable, but they're very big lips, and they kind of freeze up her face. So when she's stationary in particular, she looks very fake. But
what do you think about this, Rasputia? Da 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 da.
Oh, ka da. Yeah, it's that's unfortunate, but otherwise, like, he's able to maintain his Eddie Murphy expressions quite well. So credit to Rick Baker, I guess.
The suit looked great. It was a real sort of high-tech fiberglass contraption, I think. It's very expensive, and
I wondered if there were moments when it was a body double, because moments like lifting up the gut to show the thing, or when she's struggling to get through the ticket barrier, that looked like real bouncy flesh. I'd be very surprised if that was latex.
I did try and look this up, and I couldn't find any information about it being a body double, which doesn't mean that it wasn't. I did see a picture of the fat suit, just not being worn by anybody, and it looked surprisingly good. It looked very realistic.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
That sounds like Big Bird without his puppeteer. just sort of slumped in the fucking corner. Just
There were a couple of moments where I think it must have been a body double, because there was some quite questionable CGI.
Oh yeah,
of Eddie Murphy's face. There's one when she rolls over on him on the bed, and it's almost like his face has been rotoscoped on. It's like moving around like the eyes of an orphan.
Well, most of that worked quite well. Like, shit, it's late on. Oh, it's a headlock. She gets him in a headlock, and I remember thinking, holy shit, like that is both of them there. That looks pretty good.
Fair enough. I can't fault.
Mixed bag.
I can't really fault a lot of this stuff. It was pretty good. So
it's better than Jack and Jill, which was made 3 years after that. So 5 years. Yeah. Jesus.
You see what happens when you've got somebody who cares about the job. I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is one of those things where, on his CV they can see that he did good, even if the company itself was imploding at the time.
Yeah, it's not a Dean Cundy situation where it's like, oh, a brilliant cinematographer on a bad film. Maybe he does really good cinematography. Oh, no, he doesn't. It's just all washed out. And this could have been a Dean Cundy joint. This was very blandly cinematographized. Photographed, let's say.
Cinematographized, I'm happy with.
That is the term.
You're the film boy. I'm gonna go with you.
Hello, I'm the cinematographizer. Well, one thing before we quickfire, because let's get onto that soon. I think we've explained why this is a pretty bad movie. I have a comment by a Deneen L. Brown, who wrote a really interesting article about this whole thing, asking about whether Norbit is a laugh or no laughing matter. And he concludes, referring to the scene in which Rasputia tells Tandy Newton that she should put some weight on because she's too skinny.
I'm just trying to say, you're too damn skinny. Look at you. See, most men like a woman that got little hair. You ain't got nothing. You're just skin and bone, just sitting in a chair, all bones and skin. Oh, I feel sorry for you.
And as she speaks, there is a tiny moment of realization that Rasputia has a healthy self-image, and her large ego in some way matches psychological studies that show that black women generally have a higher acceptance of body weight than other women. There's a positive angle there. I thought that she was just being kind of shitty because she wanted to put what's her name down by any means that she could, and it just so happened she was very thin. But I don't know, I guess some form of pride in her size, but she's also always denying it. Like when Eddie Murphy dares to suggest she's put on some weight, she gives her the scowl, gives him the scowl.
Shows that you can just spin this anywhere old you fucking want, doesn't it?
Well, I guess so. I like the idea, but I'm not sure it's supported here.
Yeah, it's a nice idea, and you got to cling to it at this stage, I think.
Let's cling to some other things. Let's quickfire.
In the beginning, when the ginger bullies come in and stomp his sandcastle, it was a good side shot. It looked dynamic, I thought.
Ah, good stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to just follow on from that because it's the same scene.
Okay.
When young Rasputia comes in, and she sort of goes like that. It's a good entrance before she beats up those nasty bullies.
I kind of liked young Rasputia, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
She delivered her name in a very funny way. It's the one laugh I got in the entire movie was when Norbit asked her what her name is, and after a second she just goes, Rasputia. It was amazing.
She also delivered the line quite well. Get your ass up and hold my hand.
And it was the only time that How You Doing was not the worst thing in the world.
Who are you? Rasputia. What's your name?
Norbit.
You got a girlfriend, Nesbit?
Norbit. No.
Well, you do now. Get your ass up and hold my hand.
Okay.
How you doing?
There's actually something kind of sweet about the two of them at that stage. Two misfits, who on opposite sides of the spectrum, one extreme extrovert, the other extreme introvert, maybe finding each other. The promise of something maybe a little sweet before it turns into crass stereotyping. Anyway. Okay, this line I feel bad about highlighting as a good thing. I really do.
Do it.
It tickled me, is the thing. Okay. Eddie Murphy in his old man Chinese outfit. He comes out and he finds the baby that's been abandoned. He picks it up and it says, "Oh, it's a black baby. I can't give these away." Which is such a cold, heartless thing to say about a baby. and talking about it as if it was like a fucking car part he had found.
A nice bit of self-awareness and self-deprecating humour from Eddie Murphy, and maybe a bit of social awareness as well. Yeah, it took me a moment to sink in because he also said "brack baby," I think, and
oh god,
had to get over that initially before he had to
quickly throw up, and then
before the good racist line came in.
Terry Crews, in general, I quite enjoyed in the film, but in particular his introduction, where he's got his 80s haircut, sort of sideburns and a sort of, I don't think it's an afro, it might be a jerry curl, but it's this little thing, and he's just this incredibly imposing, hulking guy, and he just sort of says, leg, indicating which part of the animal do you want. And that was really fun. And then later on, when he's at the wedding, she's actually laughing thinking about this. I really like Terry Crews. When he's at the wedding, he's about to stand up to sort of question the Chinese guy who's saying some pretty racist stuff. He's criticizing Rasputia pretty badly. And he says, come on, it's a joke. You don't want to start a fight at a wedding, do you? And Terry Crews has to look admonished and sort of look around kind of like, oh, I suppose not, and sit back down again. And just that little face of his.
He has a good face. Speaking of Terry Crews, I did actually feel really, really bad for Norbit whenever he threatened him. It's just so unreasonable and so horrible.
Yeah.
It wasn't even really paid off later. He didn't get like much of a comeuppance from Norbit or anyone, so he was just a horrible man.
He gets comedically chased out of town, running in that hilarious way that he does. He looks fucking good running. I mean, he was a football player, right? He looks like when he starts running that no one could fucking stop him. Not man nor God.
Yeah, not even racist Eddie Murphy.
Okay, here's the next offensive joke that I found funny. So on their wedding night, is that new bit? On their wedding night, Rasputia throws herself at Norbit and it sort of crushes him against the bed and falls down. And I will say that whenever Rasputia has to throw herself at something, it is quite good. It's kind of like comic, cartoon-style quickness to it and impact, which is quite good. But in this particular instance, it was the sheer identical nature of the 3 times in which she crushes him against the bed. And I know it's offensive because it's a joke about, fat woman breaks bed, ha ha ha. But the fact that it's the exact same visual gag 3 times in a row. It's like the David Cross, the Mr. Show sketch about the guy who keeps knocking over the fucking furniture over and over again in this same way every time.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's just repetition is funny, and they did this quite well.
When Tandy meets Rasputia for the first time, Rasputia is kind of unsure of how to deal with this interaction, and she very nervously goes, "Hello."
Yes,
it was a very nice little bit, not
kind of Hyacinth Bouquet style.
Yeah, just
keeping up civility.
Just way subtler than anything else in the rest of the film.
Yeah,
it's good.
Okay, who is it who's playing the aerobics instructor? It's a Wayan.
It's a Wayans. Is it Marlon?
Marlon.
Yeah,
I think it's Marlon Wayan. Some of his there's an Armstrong and Miller sketch about a guy sort of yelling out absurd instructions to an aerobics class, like wave hello to the postman. Okay, press the badger. And it reminded me of that. And one of them was, here come the cops.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I did like Power Tap. I thought that was a pretty cool idea.
Then it did turn into the whole Grown-Ups 2 squatting on his face, perverted aerobics instructor thing.
Then it was just, he's a deviant. Didn't see that coming. The Bouncy Castle scene looked like it might have actually been fun to film. Oh, fuck you!
Yeah!
And
that little girl goes... Yeah. That little girl goes flying across the fucking room when Lucretia. Why do I keep going to call her Lucretia? It looks like Rasputinania, whatever the fuck. It's going to land directly on her, but she lands next to her, and like a second later, like a beat later, where it looks like nothing's happened, the little girl just goes flying into the fucking air.
Yeah, it looked like him lumbering around in a fat suit while some girls genuinely try to avoid him. Might have been a fun scene to do, and I don't think he would have also physically injured the young child in an Adam Sandler way.
As hard as he could.
I'm literally going to fucking kill her, he said before, bouncing harmlessly into the scene.
Oh god, it entertained me how quickly Marlon Wayans got the fuck out of there when he's been caught cheating with Norbit's wife, because he leaves him, he goes through the doorway, and then Eddie Murphy turns right to look out of the window, and he's already outside trying to get his pants on, implying that he left the house extraordinarily quickly, which it made me laugh. The joke of Eddie Murphy watching a fat young girl on the back of a pony, you know, and comparing it to his own situation was kind of mean-spirited, especially since that's an actual little girl there that we're being invited to sort of, I don't know, laugh at, like, yeah, that horse, that's having a tough time of things. But then we cut, and there's, after Eddie Murphy says, I feel your pain, it cuts in, and there's a little tear running down the pony's face, which made me laugh.
Yeah. I always wonder with things like this, how do they hire people for those roles?
Yeah.
You're going to be fat girl on donkey. You're going to be fat girl in the corner of the room farting while Summer Hayek abuses you.
I mean, like, are they going to... Oh, God, that was fucking awful, that. That was Hitman's Bodyguard. Jesus Christ, I forgot how bad that was. I don't know, like, if it's a little girl, like, do you lie to them? But then are they going to be like, oh boy, I can't wait to watch this? And everyone's like, no, don't do that.
Do they say, you know, director of big star Hollywood film, looking for fat person,
director of Good Burger
at your expense? Yeah. Remember that? No, me neither. Anyway, we want you. Like, how would you phrase it? Is that like a ruthless artist thing where like your creative vision?
It's the Stanley Kubrick of Kenan and Kel.
Yeah. You're the fucking Nietzsche, the fucking Raskolnikov of Good Burger.
Your mundanity will only make our exceptionality more pronounced. You should be humbled by that.
You fat bitch. When they're in the hairdressers and Tandy Newton sees Rasputia, she goes, oh, Rasputia, that's nice. It's just a really great way of going, oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck him in this movie. Oh, the pug and his scooter is really cute. He's got a little, the wheels that they put him on. He's a cute pug. He's got wheels. That's sweet. Then they made him talk. Because, I don't know. Hang on a minute, was that a Dr. Dolittle reference?
Again, all I could think of was Little Nicky. So you've done fucked up Eddie Murphy. That scene where Rasputia was interrogating her brother by shaking salt.
The very next one I read. The very next one on my list. How eerie.
Yeah. Oh, God. It reminded me of there's a basketball bit when he's psyching out one of the players by putting tinfoil in his mouth, and it's just as nonsensical. I didn't know if that was he hated salt on his pizza or something, or if he was just scared.
I think it's just the sound.
Intimidation. Yeah.
The sound, because there's also the ticking coming from a game show that she's got on TV.
Yeah.
So there's the ticking and the shaking, and it just makes it more intense. I mean, it was like a Zimmer moment.
I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing, okay? He's gonna dare you with that fine skinny girl.
It was fairly absurd, and for that, it wins a point. Un point.
Not only did I think Norbit's suit was pretty cool, the purple suit they put him in.
That was a good suit.
He looks like a stylish motherfucker in that suit. But as he's walking away from the two pimps, I don't know, one of them says something, I've written it down phonetically, but I can't get the exact thing, but he just kind of says his name, like, Norbit. Like, it seemed improvised,
Norbit.
and it just seemed like, Norbit. It just felt like a sweet, friendly thing, like a gesture between friends. It felt real, and I like that.
Sounds like Hagrid. Doesn't Hagrid have a fucking bird called Norbit? Norbit?
Oh, I don't know.
Look, I'm going to Google this. I haven't Googled anything all episode. Yeah, it's fucking Norbit is the dragon that he has.
Okay. Oh, that blue suit pimp at the end of the two pimps, the one in the blue suit, he had some fucking moves.
Yeah,
and that
Eddie
church,
Griffin.
He was, danced his way out of a tin cabbage.
Pimp his way out of a school. I'm not good at vamping. Move on. Actually, that Eddie Griffin pimp, once he gets the choir singing and everyone talking about love, it pans out and it reveals Tandy Newton is doing a little dance, not really giving a fuck if the wedding's postponed or not. And it was cute. It was a very cute little dance.
She's gonna have fun.
Really at odds with everything else happening in that scene. It's like, and I just remembered that, God, Tandy Newton's a good actress.
Yeah,
I like
when
Tandy
she's
Newton.
dancing. I thought about Rock and Roller and her sort of incredibly awkward dancing with Jared Butler. That was a great scene.
The last one I have is
thank God,
the brother that they leave. I know. I can think of more if you want. The brother that they leave to watch over Norbit when they go to the wedding. He's got his top off because I think what is it he's doing? Is he doing power tap or something as well? It's something reassuringly gay that a big black guy wouldn't ever do.
Right.
Because they're not gay ever. Anyway, he's insanely muscly. And
it's
worth noting, he was so muscly.
Well done,
Holy
sir. The final good thing, then. Now, Cuba Gooding Jr. had a rough decade after winning his Oscar. He found it tricky to find work that was sort of up to his caliber, because maybe there wasn't as many exceptional roles available around that time for certain kind of guys, or maybe he just made some really bad decisions. You decide. He's a two-man now because of Pearl Harbor. It was rough. Now, in this, he appears, and he's playing your standard kind of fucking love interest who's got to be gotten out of the way before the true romance can happen. And so he's going to be slimy, he's going to be two-timing. But, I don't know, there was a nervous energy to him that I really appreciated. Often the situation's beyond his control, sometimes because he's got Terry Crews's godlike hand sort of on his shoulder. So... that's intimidating. Anyone would crumble under that pressure. Anyone.
Even you.
Especially me. Jesus. I just have to think about it and I'm gone. But yeah, he's got his moments and he's got a really good acting face, I find. Those are capable of a wide range of things.
No argument from me on that one.
Yeah.
Especially, I think I've realised only at the very end when he was finally confronted with all of his wives and he went... He said something like, "Oh, I'm getting the fuck out of here," and it was a very good face. It was a very good delivery and very good physicality. I didn't quite know what I was seeing at the time because it had been so long. Yeah, to watch Cuba Gooding Jr. scarper out of a church, I didn't think I was going to get from this film.
Oh, all right. Well, I think we've just about handled that. How about we have a chat about the one better thing?
Well, how about checking out the OG team first, you fucking idiot?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's not my fault you sometimes remember to ask the OG team.
Look, there's a perfectly good explanation for last week. I just forgot. And this time I remembered, so, you know.
Look, there's a reasonable explanation here. We're all vampires.
Oh, God. Okay. TV in Space at TV in Space says, A, it has Thandie Newton in and she's a good actress. B, some of the makeup effects are good. Yeah.
I think quite a few of them are.
TV in Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got good...
Tell us something we don't know. Oh, really? Paul did that. Oh, gosh. This podcast is over. Matthew Gray, a Clockwork Writer, shit film guy extraordinaire, said, Christ, I remember watching this when I was younger. The only thing I remember is a scene where a fat-suited Murphy is on a slide. I've since removed it from my mental hard drive to free up space. Oh, and Terry Crews is in it, so that's a good thing, surely.
Sounds like you've got some residual files there left over from that particular excavation. One better thing!
Ah!
The one better thing. Now, my better thing... and it's been a while since I recommended a TV show instead of a film.
Ooh.
Has been known to happen. But that TV show is, and I was thinking about this a lot during the film, I just recently watched the Season 2 finale of Glow.
Yes.
The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Now, Glow is a TV show that started up last year on Netflix, which is about a bunch of misfit women who are all sick of their sort of lots in life, who all come to an acting audition only to find that they are being recruited for a wrestling show to go out on cable television late at night.
Ah!
And it's just about
that's wrestling, isn't it?
That's wrestling.
Yeah, knew it.
Whoopsie! I say.
Bro!
I've been to the London wrestling matches.
Dope!
Yeah, it's about these... it's primarily about the two main women, which played by Alison Brie and Betty Gilpin, who sort of start off as friends, very quickly become not friends, and then have to work at becoming friends again. Or will they? Is the question. But it's entirely about these women as they learn to become wrestlers and as they learn to become themselves. Everyone has something going on. Everyone has some sort of conflict or thing going on at the heart of them that they need to overcome in order to sort of fully realize that the dream they didn't realize they had of becoming a gorgeous lady of wrestling. Why am I bringing it up here? Because the film is really body positive in so many ways. The women are all different shapes and sizes, different ethnicities, and all sorts of things going on. And actually, one of the issues that they experience is that their characters that they create for the wrestling show are very broad, and sort of based on stereotypes. And in particular, Kia Stevens plays a character who adopts the persona of the welfare queen, who is this sort of overweight black woman who is based on welfare, and she's sort of playing it tongue-in-cheek and saying these ridiculous things like, you know, you ought to like this coat, you all bought it, and just, you know, saying things like that just to antagonize the audience. And But there's a season 2
Yeah.
episode where she actually has to deal with the legacy of that, and is it all harmless fun? And it's it's really interesting. So there's that. There's the fact that it just celebrates all of these different women and their situations, and it's just a really sweet thing. In addition to being really driven in terms of its plot and intrigue, it's really nice at its heart. It's good spirited. And Mark Maron, is it Mark Maron?
Mark Maron?
Wow. Barry, I'm gonna fuck you right against this metal corrugated iron. You see if I don't.
It's Saturday, none of the other boys are here. No one will believe it. 2 gay builders.
2 gay Australian builders.
It's never been done.
Oh, it's a really good show. And Mark Maron is really funny in it as well.
Yeah, he says cunt many times. It's fantastic.
Many times. The cunts level off in season 2. I don't think I've heard a cunt yet.
Oh, what?
But I know it's bullshit.
They haven't got to pull anyone in, have they, at this stage?
You lead with your cunts. Just like the Gorehouse greats.
Then you level it off with a couple of dams.
Gosh darn it, he says in an episode 9. Fucking hell.
Damn it.
Our suffering has brought us closer together.
If I can speak for long enough without getting interrupted by the sound of God's fiery vengeance, then or a very rude builder, then I'd say that as we'd already done Mrs. Doubtfire and Double Impact to get across the majesty that is one actor playing multiple roles, I really had to scrape the bottom of the barrel here. And by bottom of the barrel, I mean something that's very, very good. That is, of course, Richard Ayoade's adaptation of the Dostoevsky classic, The Double, starring Jesse Eisenberg, who's an underwhelming civil servant whose peaceful but wholly rubbish life gets even worse when a new employee turns out to be his physical double and emotional opposite.
Which no one else can see.
Yes.
No one else can see the resemblance.
Yeah. The double is quickly elevated to celebrity status almost, just being this confident motherfucker, whilst Jesse Eisenberg continues to go into obscurity and even gains the ire of even more people. He very aptly plays 2 versions of Jesse Eisenberg, and everyone else seems to be a player in this lazily malevolent dream. And as with all things Ayoade, it's very sharp, it's funny. Being Ayoade, there's plenty of cause for extreme social anxiety in there. So what's not to love? Yeah, it's a very dark, angular sort of film, and some very nice dark comedic moments. It's very good, very worth a watch.
Beautifully shot as well. A shot of Jesse Eisenberg running through the mist. After attending a sort of weird funeral is really striking. That stuck with me.
Yeah. Yes.
I forgot to mention about Glow as well. It's set in the 80s and very much has the style and music of the 80s throughout the whole thing, including the hair, which is a big selling point for me. Alison Brie has good old Linda Hamilton hair from the first Terminator, and I love it.
No shotguns yet, but you know what wrestling's like.
Episode 3. Spoiler alert. The Terminator does show up.
Which one?
All of them. The whole gang. The whole Terminator gang. You've got Jason Patrick. Was he one?
Jason Patrick. He's the one from Narc.
Who is it? It's Robert Patrick. It's some 2 boring fucking names put next to each other. Bob Johnson.
No, it's Star of Speed 2, Robert Patrick.
Hi, I'm James Robert. What?
Yes.
Awful.
I'm Tony
I've forgotten
Dean.
it already. Thank you for listening to our Robert Patrick Takedown Hour. We're going to fuck up that guy and the guy who was actually in Terminator 2. Who was it?
Robert Patrick.
Patrick Roberts.
It was Robert
That's
Patrick.
That's what I said, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but you said Jason. You said Jason Patrick first, the guy from Narc and Speed 2. So had to just
fuck me.
Had to make sure everyone knew that.
One of them needs to die. I'm not having this. Pick one, America.
Pick a Patrick.
And you can pick up your pickled Patrick at the end of the show.
From a pickled piper named Peter Pepper. Oh, God. Well, my guy is now stamping on his creation of the last hour, so I think it's a good time to end. Thank you for joining me, Guy on the Roof. Thank you for joining us, everyone at home.
Some time ago.
Yeah, Guy on the Roof. We couldn't have done it without you this week. Fucking...
Legend.
Yeah, thanks everyone, all you legends out there stamping on roofs and working on Saturdays. What's wrong with you? I thought we'd be safe. Got here early at 7:30 on a Saturday.
How dare he break the Sabbath?
Shabbos.
Australian Sabbath, which happens on a Saturday.
Anti-Semitic Australian builders. You Can't leave your house. Can't leave your house without one of them throwing a yarmulke at you. Here's your god hat.
Where are they getting them all? That's what I want to know.
Oh, Palestine's difficult, isn't it? Leave it alone, builder. Just what do you even know? What are you?
I'm Donald
Trump. I'm sure he's doing a lovely job, and I can't wait for my roof to stop leaking. But
but fuck that guy.
He's above me with a hammer. iTunes, Twitter, Gmail, Facebook, OGT Pod. You can just get there, send some nice things, tell us how well we did, and thanks. Bye, everyone. Wait for next week.
As Paul continues...
I'll have a new roof, and I'm sure the results will be audible for all.
As Paul continues crying and shaking, I just want to tell you all about a new podcast that we've appeared on in much less strenuous circumstances. It's called Filmily Fortunes, and you can catch it now. If you go to Twitter, it's @FilmilyFortunes, and I think it's something pretty similar to that on Facebook as well. So have a look there, and you'll find a link. It's basically a film quiz podcast that pitches movie podcasts against each other. We're in there in episode 1 going up against one member of Cinema Recall. Yeah. Who will win? A couple of proud Pauls or a single guy? I think you'll be surprised at how close it fucking gets.
Yep. I think if you like listening to two Pauls struggle and lose their cool over something that ultimately is meaningless.
Oh, the pissed off Pauls pick up pickled Patricks.
Fuck,
only on Filmily Fortunes.
Fucking podcast.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And remember, I'm Paul Salt.
I'm drowned by hammers.
Remember, the one good thing about Norbit. Oscar-winning actor. The one good thing about Norbit is when an Oscar-winning actor flees a church.